Hey everybody, let's take 5 minutes out of our day and meditate on God's Word together. One of the biggest twist endings in all of the parables of Jesus is the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector. As you read this parable, you just know it's going to end one way, but Jesus makes a big left turn. In Luke 18, verse 9, we read, "He also told this parable to some who trusted in themselves that they were righteous and treated others with contempt. Two men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus, 'God, I thank you that I am not like other men, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week. I give tithes of all that I possess.' But the tax collector, standing far off, would not even lift up his eyes to heaven, but beat his breast, saying, 'God, be merciful to me, a sinner.' I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted." Word of the Lord. Now, this helps to have a little understanding of what these two people were, Pharisees and tax collectors. Who were they? Pharisees were perhaps the most pious people among the regular society in Palestine. They were not the most politically powerful people. They were just the common people, but they were the most pious. They were very scrupulous, very conscientious, very God-fearing people. The tax collectors, on the other hand, were the opposite. They were the most despicable. They were considered traitors by most of the Jews of the day because they were associating with the Roman overlords who were oppressing them. So this is such an odd couple moment. What's going on here? We have to keep in mind that this parable had such a twist because of its audience. Jesus wasn't talking to tax collectors. Had he been talking to tax collectors, maybe he would have said something different. But he's talking to those who trusted in themselves that they were righteous. That sounds like he's talking to Pharisees. He's talking to people who thought they were better than other people. So this parable challenges us to look at ourselves honestly. Not look at other people through your eyes without looking at yourself. Look at yourself first. This guy looks at himself with pride. Now, it's normal to take a certain measure of pride in your accomplishments, but that can turn insidious. We begin to feel like we need the praise of other people. We feed on that praise. And we have this sense of self that becomes based on what we do, not based on who we are or on what Jesus has done. We become human doings, not human beings. So this makes us ask ourselves, do you look at yourself and consider yourself good? Start there. Do you look at yourself as, I'm a good person? Well, beware, because good turns into better very easily. Better than others. We need to look at ourselves, look at who we are, not just what we do. Examine not just your actions, but your motivations behind those actions. Examine what's going on and be self-aware. The tax collector wouldn't even look at himself because he was self-aware. He wouldn't even look up to heaven because he's self-aware. He knew who he was. So it makes us look at ourselves, but it challenges also how we look at others. Someone, I can't remember who, said that humility is having an honest assessment of yourself, an accurate view of yourself. When you have an accurate view of yourself, you can have an accurate view of others as well. But if you look at others through your own sense of perceived goodness, we become the judges. We become the people partaking of the knowledge of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We become the judges like Adam and Eve. And we end up either shaming ourselves or shaming others. Humility frees us to see the others as valued by God and in need of the same grace that we need. And all of this comes from God's goodness. This is a common theme in the parables of Jesus because it's a hard lesson for us to learn. And in fact, there was one parable that Jesus taught about laborers getting upset about not getting paid equally. It has a surprise ending there as well. But we'll talk about that next time we take 5. I'll see you then.